fresh water. Give me a minute.
Yeah, you want to hydrate. All right, we're here with the game time here. Today we just have me and Lurch. As those of you may know, Greg Pullman, our director of tabletop gaming, is over there at Holdfast Brewing Company doing our game day at Holdfast. He's got some board games out there ready to play, including I did see he had Sorry and Action Cats and Exploding Kittens. Looked like a game called Skull was there. So he's ready to go over there at Holdfast, and they've got this new brew called something like a limeade brew. You might want to check out. So head over to Holdfast Brewing Company and say hi to Greg Pullman for us, because he's not here with us tonight for broadcast. Every third Wednesday of the month, you will find him over at Holdfast Brewing Company doing our game day at Holdfast. So go over there and check it out. Play some board games if you're up to going out into public. Some of us aren't quite ready to do that yet. And then you can, those that aren't ready, hey, stay here with us. We're here for you too. I do have Lurch here with me as always. Lurch is over, as you can see, it's a slightly different layout this time since it's just the two of us. I got Lurch down there in the lower right-hand corner, and then I'm up in the upper left-hand corner and got our main viewing screen right there in the middle. We're opening on our Game Expo website. For those who don't know, this is the splash page you come to if you go to SpringfieldGameExpo.com, I believe it is now. And this is where we keep all information about our convention. Right now, we do not have plans for a physical convention. We're still talking about it. But as you may or may not know, that's where game comes from Game Time, Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo, and that's where you know me and Lurch from. I'm, of course, Director of Cross Promotions, and Lurch is our chairman this year. And for the past several years has been Director of Electronic Gaming, so you know us from both areas. Also, you see me hang out in the tabletop area. Greg, of course, is the Director of Tabletop Gaming, and like I said, he's over there at Holdfast right now. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're just a couple minutes after, so it's actually doing pretty good. No real technical difficulties this time. Let me do a quick sound check. Now, during the sound check, you won't see Lurch because I have to go to the well, no, you will, because I changed it. Hold on here. Let me do a sound check, though, just to make sure that we're sounding good on here. Check 1 2. Sounding good on here. Check 1 2. Sounding good on here. Check 1 2. Sounding good. That sounds good to me. Okay. All right. You still with me, Lurch? Oh, you got quiet. Suddenly now I can hear you.
I'm just messing with you.
You're messing with me. Don't do that. We've had too much trouble with that already.
I know. I was intending on trying to drag it a little bit longer, but I couldn't. I didn't have the conscience to let that go any more than like 2 words.
Patrick, hand me the honey for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Need some honey for my chai. I hate ant season.
Yeah, ant season's the worst.
They like to congregate around our honey.
Oh yeah, to battle to fight with it. In preparation, I already had my. I have a regular bug guy that I
can't hear you, Patrick. So don't talk to me right now.
You can tell him again later on. Tell him.
Doc, I was saying that because of it becoming ant season already, I actually just today had my bug guy come out and spray on the outside of the house to help prevent ants from getting in.
Yeah. Well,
we're done as a monthly service.
We're in a trailer park, so we only get this stuff done as the trailer park sends the guy in. So he always waits until the one day we haven't done any dishes for a little while and everything's stacked up, and then we know he's going to show up.
He should be showing up pretty soon.
Yeah. He waits until the house is a mess, then he shows up, so that it always seems like our house is a mess. Anyway, let's get going here. We've got a few things to talk about today.
We got some news.
Yeah, I think we're going to start with some of your good news. I'm going to call that good news. Actually, that's probably pretty good news. Let's see. On the PlayStation
Yeah,
front, go ahead,
yeah.
Lurch.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, the first news I want to talk about is Sony, especially Jim Ryan, but PlayStation has reversed on their previously made um, unpopular plan of shutting down the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation Vita stores. Um, they are still going to shut down the commerce portion of the PSP store. So as of July 2nd, PSP systems can no longer purchase anything on the store. You can still re-download things, but Vita and PS3 are going to be left alone. So those two systems can continue going on, which is fantastic news. It's good to hear. It's good to see that PlayStation has heard the fan outcry against it. They made their voices heard. We made our voices heard that we really want to be able to continue buying PlayStation 3 games and PlayStation Vita games. Heck, even especially PlayStation Vita, because PlayStation Vita was still receiving new games. A new game came out like a month ago, and there's another new game planned to come out, I think in July or June, this summer. And they were going to shut down the store in August. And so, this company that's been spending the last 2 years developing a game, they were kind of like, what are we supposed to do? We have the dev kits, we built this game, and we're just a couple months away from release, and you're going to shut down the store right after?
You're gonna have,
We're
we're gonna have it for a month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, um, we don't want to give too much praise to PlayStation for doing a great thing. They just reversed a bad decision. You know what I mean?
But praise for listening. I mean, praise for listening.
Praise them for listening. Yes,
that's an important thing that you always got to remember to recognize is when a company listens to its constituents, its member base, its people that actually put the money in their pockets, and it actually tells them, hey, look, we don't like something, and they go in and they reverse a decision.
Yeah,
that shows they're actually paying attention, and that's good.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that part of it that helped is that some of us, like myself, went and started kind of splurging on the digital stores to buy up games that we've been meaning to get for a while but never got around to.
Yeah, well, that at least showed interest, and
yeah,
numbers went up, which hopefully, the bottom line is what people like that look at. So
I do still have a question about it. They said that the PlayStation hardware will not be able to make purchases anymore. I'm hoping that means, because as it is, Vita systems are able to purchase PSP games and play those PSP games, like
Yes.
98% of them. I'm really hoping that also means that Vita games will continue to be able to buy PSP games, and that the only thing getting locked out of purchases will be the PSP hardware
itself. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's going to be
there's some great games.
I want to be able to. Yeah, and some of those PSP games that are great are even better on the Vita.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I haven't had
like there's
to play
plenty
the Vita, but I'm sure.
I mean, for one example, besides just the bigger screen, better picture quality, crisper image, besides all those things, you have a right analog stick on the Vita that you didn't have on the PSP. And on the PSP, shooter games are really difficult. In that, because with only one analog stick, they'd have like an analog stick to a little analog nub to move around, and then like the face buttons to control your looking around.
I remember,
but if you download it to your Vita, you can go to an extra option setting for those PSP games and remap the right analog stick to do other things, including controlling the camera.
Nice.
And
I don't play a lot of shooters, but for those who like shooter, everybody's got their own particular genre of games they like. And if you're a shooter person, you want everything you can to enhance your shooter experience.
Yeah.
And so,
I'd say shooter games are the most impacted by it, but lots of games are. 3D platformer games, letting you swivel the camera around.
And I got to say, even though I'm not a shooter person, they're probably one of the driving genres of the gaming industry. There's probably more shooter games than just about anything out there right now. A lot of people like to do those things like Halo and stuff like that. So shooters are still really big, even though they're not my cup of tea. They've got a market out there.
Yeah, it's true. I sometimes wonder. I'm sure there's numbers out there that if someone really wanted to do the digging, they could. But I'm kind of curious. So I think that there might be more RPG games than shooters, but per game, I think the shooter games have a larger install base, like a larger sales rates. But I don't know. It's not something I bothered to really look into. But like if you do any digging, you can find there's like a ton of JRPG games out there.
Oh,
that,
JRPGs are big too. Yeah, the Japanese ones.
There's
in Japan,
so many.
The RPG is like the number one genre in Japan. So
yeah,
that and platformers. If you go to Japan, you get platformers and you get JRPGs. That's mainly what Japan likes to put out.
And this story is. I really appreciated how Jim Ryan, either whether Jim Ryan wrote it himself or he just approved to have it put out with his name on it. But there's like a letter that got put out by PlayStation that was signed off by Jim Ryan saying, we recognize that we made a mistake and we are going to continue this. So the company and Jim Ryan is apologizing and acknowledging that they screwed up, and that's great to see.
That's even better because they could have just done the change and said, okay, we adjusted to it, and that would have been fine. But actually owning up to the fact that they made a mistake and coming out and apologizing is recognizing and going that extra step to let people know, hey, look, we are listening to you. And we're willing to own up to our mistakes. And that's an important aspect of being any kind of producer. So that's great. I'm glad to hear that. I know we had said we weren't going to touch on that subject anymore unless we got a major update, but this is a major update, so we had to go back to it, guys and gals. We touched on it a few times, but this is a good reversal.
New story. And this is just the latest in a new trend that we're getting with fans. Crying out about something that's wrong with what they want, and it being corrected. There's like toxic stuff that happens too.
But like we had like the Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah, we got the Zack Snyder version of the Justice League, which was only happened because of the fans really pushing for it.
100%.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Just go back to Sonic the Hedgehog, right? That Sonic the Hedgehog movie. The Sonic looked terrible in the original trailers, and fans made it known that they thought it looked terrible. And because of that, they went back and they changed the artwork and made him actually look good. And the movie benefited greatly from it. Xbox, just a matter of months ago, I don't remember exactly when it was, but sometime in 2020, Xbox announced that they were raising the price of Xbox Live Gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a year membership was going to double in price, where it was $60 for a year, and they're going to raise it up to $120. And there was a huge,
outcry.
Outcry from the fans, from the Xbox fans, and Xbox recognized they were screwing up, and they rolled it back. They reversed the decision.
It makes me feel kind of good because there's a few other things that still need to be changed out there, like Disney Plus trying to get that extra money every time they run a direct to stream, yet HBO is still giving us consistent stuff without charging us anything extra. If those things like that get reversed or at least lowered in price, just lowered in price a little bit, maybe. If you want to charge extra, or charge $10 extra, not $30.
So this is definitely the positive side of our new social media world that we're in. A lot of people like to point out and there's a lot of toxicity, but there's always bad uses of any technology. But
absolutely.
These changes and these services and these reversals and everything, these are happening because of people getting on social media. You get bad news, you might write in a letter, and probably nothing's going to happen to it.
Yeah, nobody may ever open
but we're getting but they can't deny how many millions of people are saying something whenever these come up.
They can't
And
ignore it.
then, yeah, it's harder to ignore. Disney might still find a way to ignore some of it, but PlayStation, the fact that Xbox has been pushing so much effort for backwards compatibility, and then PlayStation was going to shut these stores down, and people are like, "Look at what Xbox is doing for us. You cannot go in the wrong direction here," and it really would, at the end of the day, sure, maybe it costs a little bit of money for PlayStation to keep that up, and it's not super profitable, but they got to keep up that good image, that goodwill, good faith that they're going to keep these services available for people. Otherwise, people won't buy the newer hardware, the newer games. They won't trust them with future products.
Yeah, it's not
So,
just you used to be you voted with just your dollar and that's it, but the companies didn't know the dollar they were missing necessarily all the time
yeah.
because they weren't getting the feedback about it. But now with the social media presence out there, between Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and all these other
Yeah.
places, they're finding out. I mean, it started with things like with restaurants and Yelp. Yelp started,
Mm-hmm.
it used to be it was just professional restaurant reviewers that would give a opinion on a place. Otherwise, somebody would just like call the company and complain. That's about it. They might
Mm-hmm.
post on their website, but write a letter that again got lost in the mail, or they never had to acknowledge they even received it. But then Yelp came along, and now Joe Average can go out and review every restaurant in town, and they actually get rated on their accuracy of Yelp reviews, so that you can tell, hey, if I like this guy's taste in it here, I'm going to like it over here too, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're starting to set up and take notice. So restaurants are actively have an entire person in their business model whose only job is to go in and read Yelp reviews and refer them back to the company to fix things. There's whole companies to do that. Gordon Ramsay hires a whole fleet of people just for that one purpose alone, is to check what's going on with Yelp reviews and stuff. Not just the professional magazine reviewers. He wants to know what his Yelp review score is daily, and these guys have to let him know. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. The social media drive is we're becoming more and more of a global market, and there's so many. I mean, there's 7 billion people in the world, uh, plus, and this global market is affecting things. More and more is being done by the individual, as opposed to by only large groups making change, and that's it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it shows that our times are progressing. All right, well, that's a great update for the PlayStation. I know you got another PlayStation update we'll get to in just a
Yeah.
moment.
And an
Let-
Xbox update later as well. So, but we'll get to those in a little bit.
Yeah, we want to spread it out a little bit. Let's see. What am I going to talk about? Let's go ahead and talk about. Let's get my RPG college out of the way first.
Okay.
Now, of course, the RPG college. Like I said, I'm going to do a real short one here. I don't have Greg to jump in as much, which is a big part of it. But let's see
Yeah.
here. Home. Let's go to my. There's the game that I've uploaded. I'm working on here, launching it, and it's going to take a minute to load, like 15 seconds. Um, Today we're going to talk about fleshing things out just a little bit, starting to build things. I mean, if you remember last week, I roughed out just like an odd shape and made it into the tavern of the area. That's this building right up here. As you can see now, I've drawn some more buildings around the town and put a little fountain in here. Just kind of roughed it. Everything's rough. They still got my kobolds over there. But this is a good starting thing. I haven't identified any of the buildings that way. As the players want to go to some place, I can identify a building for them. I don't necessarily have to pre-design which building is what. One of these buildings is probably going to end up being the blacksmith, and another one might be a tailor or somebody who works in leatherworking. Somebody might be a Fletcher making arrows and spear shafts and stuff, woodworking. Another one might be a general store or a supplier where they do get dried food stuff and grain and everything.
Is that general store where they buy their generals for the army?
Yeah, that's right. You buy your generals at your general store. That's exactly right. No, but this is kind of a good rough starting area for a game, and this is all you need. You don't need to go in and do a whole bunch of details. Just throw a few buildings out there, indicate where the doors are. They kind of know where the streets are. Give them a nice center of town to meet in. That's why I put a fountain there in the middle, and of course the focal point for the characters is going to be the inn or tavern or tap house, wherever they go get a brew and stay the night.
Is that
Maybe
fountain where they filmed the intro to Friends?
yeah, yeah, exactly that, man. I such great detail, right? No, and those are the kind of things, and I'm just roughing this out. I mean, I threw this together 15 minutes before the show. I mean, this isn't. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this, and you don't need to. It's more to keep the ideas in your head. These are just to have a little bit of an area for them to play around in. I also spent some time uploading a couple of my other maps, just to kind of show you what you can do with the mapping system. I uploaded the map and lined it up. That's why it kind of looks like a double exposure here. Let me go ahead and now tone down this color a little bit so that you don't see that double exposure kind of feeling there. And see, now I've got a nice little area. There's a staircase, a couple of rooms, a long hallway that goes up off the map. And that I just took that from Paintbrush where I had the picture, drug it on here, and stretched it to scale. So Roll20, which is what I'm doing a lot of my demoing on here, is a powerful tool for that. And as another example, we'll go ahead and do one more that I did. This one I took advantage of my 3D mapping capabilities, and again in Paintbrush. I just drew these in Paintbrush. I just roughed this out in Paintbrush. This is an old one that I had done. I'd never quite finished, but I just brought it in to show you how you can do 3D mapping in something as simple as Paintbrush. And then again, just lined it up with the markings there. And as long as you can fit at least one token per square, you're good. And this would be good with side view characters if I could get some side view tokens and put them on here instead of top down tokens. But it's just another powerful tool. As you can see, I've given a feeling of elevation and using some different colors to kind of indicate different facings. But you can handle it however you want. And there's a lot of game tools out there that can do a lot of this work for you too. A lot of builder programs will do that for like certain RPG Maker and I think those Mario World Maker and stuff like that. They give you kind of tools similar to this. And this is just, an example of some of the things you can do in an RPG. And then, of course, we just go back to where we were. And that's just real simple, rough stuff. And after you're done with the rough stuff, you can go in and, like in my library, I could go in and I don't need to look at creatures or monsters. I want to be in upload so that I can go down. And I've got... where is it? There, like cobblestones, and I can go into the map layer and take the cobblestones, and now if I want to stretch the cobblestone out, let me. And then I could send that to the back. And there, I can actually make it look even more